Commander Ryan stepped off the transport ship and onto the soft, glowing grass of Zelara. The planet was alive with colors he had never seen before. Trees with transparent leaves swayed gently in the wind. Rivers floated above the ground in streams of light. Small creatures with shimmering wings darted between the glowing flowers. The air was cool, crisp, and filled with a scent that reminded him of fresh rain and wildflowers. He adjusted the strap of his satchel and looked around. His mission was clear. He had been sent to negotiate peace between humans and the alien civilization that ruled this planet. For years, the Zelarians had been wary of humans. Their last encounters had ended in fear and misunderstanding. Ryan had studied their culture, their language, and their customs for months. He knew that his success depended not only on his words but on his actions. A figure appeared on the balcony of the Grand Palace ahead of him. The palace was carved from a crystal-like material that reflected the light of Zelara's three suns. It towered over the floating gardens and glimmered like a beacon. The figure was tall and elegant, her movements graceful as she descended toward him. Her skin had a pale silver tone, and her eyes were deep violet, glowing faintly. Ryan's heart beat a little faster. This had to be the alien queen, Zara. He had seen her portraits and videos, but seeing her in person was different. She radiated authority, but there was something else, something fragile beneath the surface. She looked at him, her gaze curious and sharp. "Commander Ryan," she said, her voice melodic but firm. "You have traveled far to meet me." "Yes, Your Majesty," Ryan replied, bowing slightly. "I am honored to be here." Zara tilted her head, studying him. "Many humans have come before you. Most fear our world or underestimate it. Why are you different?" Ryan smiled softly. "I do not come with fear or assumptions. I come with respect and a desire to understand. I hope that is enough." The Queen's lips curved slightly, almost imperceptibly. "Respect is rare, even among my own people." "Very well. You may enter the palace, but be warned. Not all who step inside leave unchanged." Ryan followed her into the palace. The interior was more breathtaking than the outside. Crystals hung from the ceiling like chandeliers, casting rainbow patterns across the floors. The walls seemed alive, shifting gently as if breathing. The air inside was warmer but still carried the fresh scent of the gardens outside. Zara led him to a sitting chamber. The furniture was minimal but elegant. Chairs and tables were crafted from the same crystal-like material, polished smooth. A soft light came from the walls themselves. Ryan noticed that even the floor seemed to glow faintly under his boots. "Sit," Zara commanded. Ryan obeyed. He observed her closely. She did not sit but hovered slightly above the ground, her robes flowing like liquid silver. There was a grace to her movement, but he noticed her eyes flicker down at her hands. "You look uneasy," he said gently. "Is something wrong?" Zara looked at him sharply. "I am the queen. Uneasy is not a word my people use for me." "I did not mean to offend," Ryan said, keeping his voice calm. "I only mean that you seem unsure of yourself in some way. Perhaps I am mistaken." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed to echo around the room. "I do not often meet humans who speak honestly. Most only flatter or hide behind words. You are different. I will tell you the truth. I am not beautiful. At least, not to your kind. My people admire me, yes, but I see myself as strange, even ugly. You call me gorgeous in your language, yet I cannot believe it." Ryan blinked, surprised. No one had ever admitted such vulnerability to him so directly, especially not a queen. "Your Majesty," he said, "I do not call you gorgeous because of appearances. I call you that because of who you are. Your courage, your mind, and your honesty are far more beautiful than any form or face." Zara's eyes widened slightly, and she looked away. "Do all humans speak like this?" "Not all, Your Majesty. But some of us see the world beyond what is obvious. We see the heart, the soul, and the actions that define a being." The Queen was silent for a moment. Ryan could see the conflict in her eyes. She had spent her life as a ruler, admired and feared, yet she had never felt seen in the way he described. He realized then that his mission was not just to negotiate peace, it was to earn trust and understanding. "Very well, Commander Ryan," she said finally. "You may walk in my gardens. Many who enter there do not return unchanged. You will see why. Perhaps you will understand my world better, or perhaps it will test your spirit." Ryan nodded. "I am ready, Your Majesty." Zara led him outside to the floating gardens. The paths were suspended in the air, glowing faintly, with no visible support. Ryan stepped carefully, feeling the thrill of walking on air. Each step caused a gentle ripple of light to spread across the pathway. The gardens were filled with exotic plants, some that shimmered, some that sang softly when the wind passed through them. "You must walk carefully here," Zara said. "The gardens are alive in ways you cannot imagine. They respond to fear, anger, and hesitation. Only those who are calm and focused may pass safely." Ryan nodded, taking a deep breath. He focused on each step, feeling the gentle hum of the gardens beneath his boots. Zara floated alongside him, watching his progress. He noticed her eyes soften slightly, no longer full of scrutiny but something else, curiosity and perhaps a hint of admiration. As they moved deeper into the gardens, Ryan felt a sense of peace he had not known in years. There was beauty everywhere, not just in the plants or the floating rivers, but in the care and balance of the world itself. He understood why Zara valued it so highly. "You move with patience and respect," Zara said quietly. "Most would rush and fail. Humans are often clumsy and arrogant. You are different." Ryan smiled. "I only wish to understand your world, Your Majesty. And perhaps understand you as well." For the first time since he had met her, Zara looked at him and smiled. It was a small, genuine smile, one that did not come from duty or expectation. Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. He knew then that this journey would be unlike any he had faced before. It was not just about peace between worlds. It was about understanding, trust, and perhaps something deeper. The twin suns of Zilura began to set, casting long shadows across the glowing gardens. The sky turned a deep violet, dotted with stars that were brighter than any Ryan had seen. He looked at Zara, and she looked back at him. In that moment, words were unnecessary. Something unspoken passed between them. He knew this was only the beginning. The morning light of Zilura bathed the floating gardens in shades of gold and green. Commander Ryan awoke in the guest chambers of the Crystal Palace, the soft glow of the walls gently illuminating the room. He stretched and took a deep breath. Today, Queen Zara had promised him a tour of the deeper parts of the planet. He knew that the journey would be more than a simple walk, it would be a test. When he arrived at the palace courtyard, Zara was already waiting. Her robes shimmered in the morning sun, and her eyes sparkled with quiet determination. "Today, you will see more of my world," she said. "It is not safe for everyone, and many have failed to complete the journey. It will test your mind, your courage, and your heart. Ryan bowed slightly. I am ready, Your Majesty. I will follow your guidance. Zara led him to the edge of the palace, where a narrow path of floating stones stretched across a wide chasm. Below, streams of glowing liquid reflected the sunlight. Some stones swayed gently in the wind, while others remained still. The path ahead will require focus. Step carefully and do not hesitate. Fear will cause the gardens to shift and challenge you further. Ryan nodded and began walking. Each step demanded attention, but he moved steadily. Zara floated beside him, her eyes never leaving his form. After a while, the path widened into a series of interconnected platforms, each filled with exotic plants and strange creatures. Some creatures had long, flowing tails that emitted soft light. Others had delicate wings that created musical tones when they moved. Observe everything, Zara instructed. Your success depends on understanding, not rushing. Many fail because they only see obstacles. You must see possibilities. Ryan took a moment to study the surroundings. He noticed how some of the plants moved when he approached, creating openings in the path or shielding dangerous areas. He realized that the gardens were alive in ways he had not yet fully understood. Patience and careful observation were key. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the air. Rocks shifted, and one of the floating platforms tilted sharply. Ryan steadied himself, reaching out to stabilize the movement. Zara's eyes narrowed as she watched. Most humans would panic now, she said softly. Your calm is impressive. Thank you, Your Majesty, Ryan replied. I focus on what I can control and adapt to what I cannot. The path led them to a crystalline cave, the walls glittering with embedded crystals that reflected light in thousands of colors. The cave was narrow, forcing them to move in single file. Strange sounds echoed around them, like whispers carried by the wind. Ryan kept his senses alert, aware that the cave could hide danger. As they progressed, Zara spoke quietly. Many of my people do not dare enter these caves. They say the crystals show fears and memories. If you are not strong, they will overwhelm you. Ryan's brow furrowed. Memories? You mean they can sense my thoughts? Zara nodded. In a way. The crystals amplify feelings. They do not harm the body, but they can unbalance the mind. Ryan took a deep breath. Then I will keep my mind clear and my heart steady. Inside the cave, he felt the crystal's energy brushing against his thoughts. A vision of his home world, his family, and his past missions appeared before his mind's eye. He felt a pang of longing, but he reminded himself that he was here for a purpose greater than himself. Step by step, he moved forward, acknowledging the images without letting them control him. Zara observed quietly, impressed by his ability to remain composed. Many humans would have turned back by now. Few show the patience and inner strength you do. After what felt like hours, the cave opened into a wide cavern with a waterfall of liquid light cascading from above. The platform beneath them pulsed gently with energy. Ryan watched as the water's glow reflected his image, but the reflection was not distorted. Instead, it seemed to reveal his inner determination, his courage, and his respect for life. Zara floated beside him. Few have reached this point. It is a place of reflection. Here, you see not just the world, but yourself. Tell me, Commander, what do you see? Ryan studied his reflection. I see someone who is learning. Someone who wants to understand. Someone who knows that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Zara's eyes softened. Your words are wise, but it is your actions that speak louder. You are unlike any human I have encountered. Most judge us by our appearance or our power. You see beyond that. Ryan looked at her. I do not see you as a queen with a title. I see you as a being who has faced challenges and continues to lead with strength. That is beauty to me. For a moment, Zara seemed surprised. Her voice, usually steady, faltered slightly. You speak openly and without fear. It is rare for someone to do that with me. Most would hide behind flattery or lies. I believe honesty is the only way to build trust, Ryan said calmly. And trust is the foundation of peace, not only between our worlds but between individuals. The Queen's gaze lingered on him, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. You are right. I have seen many, but few truly understand. Perhaps you will succeed where others have failed. They left the cavern and continued through the gardens. The path grew narrower, winding around tall crystal spires and over streams of liquid light. Birds with translucent wings flew around them, singing in harmonies that echoed across the platforms. Ryan moved carefully, aware that one wrong step could send him falling into the glowing streams below. Zara spoke again. This final stretch will test your focus. You must keep your mind and body aligned. The gardens respond to emotion. Anger, fear, or doubt will disrupt your path. Ryan nodded. I will remain calm and aware. Step by step, he moved forward. The platforms shifted slightly as he walked, but he adjusted without hesitation. Zara watched closely, admiration evident in her eyes. By the time they reached the end of the path, Ryan was not only unscathed but had learned much about the gardens, their creatures, and the energy that flowed through Zilura. He turned to Zara. Thank you for this journey, Your Majesty. I have learned more than I expected. Zara regarded him thoughtfully. You have done more than walk the path. You have shown patience, courage, and respect. These qualities are rare, and they are the reason you may succeed where others have failed. Perhaps you are the first human to truly understand my world. Ryan smiled. I am honored, Your Majesty. But I still have much to learn. Zara's smile widened. Then you are ready for the next part of our journey. But that will wait until tomorrow. Rest now, Commander. You have earned it. Ryan watched as she floated back toward the palace. The morning sun reflected off her robes, making her seem like a figure of light and grace. He realized that this journey was changing him, not just in understanding her world, but in understanding himself. He felt a new sense of purpose, a deeper connection to the mission, and a growing curiosity about the Queen who had spoken so openly about her insecurities. He returned to his chambers, tired but inspired. Tomorrow promised new challenges, and he knew that each step forward would bring him closer to understanding the true meaning of courage, beauty, and friendship between their worlds. The night on Zilura was unlike any Ryan had ever seen. Two moons rose above the horizon, one pale blue and the other deep silver. The glowing rivers in the distance reflected their light, creating patterns across the land like threads of silk. From the balcony of his guest chamber, Ryan gazed at the view, his thoughts wandering. He felt both calm and curious, sensing that this world held many secrets. A soft sound drew his attention. Queen Zara floated into the balcony from the palace hall. Her robes shimmered under the moonlight, and her eyes carried a quiet glow. Ryan bowed respectfully, though Zara waved her hand lightly. There is no need for formality here, Commander, she said. Tonight, I am not only a queen. I am a person who wishes to speak. Ryan straightened, surprised by her tone. Then I will listen, Your Majesty. She moved to the edge of the balcony and looked out at the glowing landscape. For a long moment, she was silent. Finally, she said, "Do you know what it means to be seen as perfect by everyone, but to feel imperfect within yourself?" Ryan considered her words carefully. "I cannot claim to know fully. But I have seen leaders on my world who carry heavy burdens behind smiles. They are admired, but they often feel alone." Zara gave a faint smile. "Yes. That is how it feels. My people call me radiant, flawless, even divine. Yet when I see myself, I do not see beauty. I see strangeness. I see someone who does not belong." Ryan studied her expression. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed her feelings. For the first time, she seemed vulnerable. "Why do you feel that way?" he asked gently. "Because I am different," Zara replied. "Even among my own kind, I was born with features not shared by others. My eyes glow brighter, my skin carries a tone few possess. Some call it a blessing, but to me it has always been a curse. It sets me apart, and though I wear a crown, I have never felt truly accepted for who I am." Ryan leaned against the railing, his gaze steady. "You believe yourself ugly, yet your people see you as beautiful. You see yourself as a part, yet they follow you with loyalty. Perhaps the truth is not what you see in a mirror, but what your actions show." Zara turned to him, her violet eyes filled with curiosity. "And what do my actions show, Commander?" "That you are strong," Ryan said without hesitation. "That you care for your people and carry their weight. That you protect what you love, even if it costs you your peace. To me, that is beauty." Her lips parted slightly, and she looked away. The silver moonlight cast soft shadows across her face. "Your words are kind, but how do I trust them? Many humans have spoken pleasing lies before." Ryan shook his head. "I do not flatter, Your Majesty. I only speak what I see. If I thought differently, I would tell you so. Trust is built on truth, not on sweet words." For a moment, silence filled the balcony. The only sounds were the whisper of wind and the soft hum of glowing rivers far below. Then Zara spoke again, her voice lower than before. "Do you ever fear being judged, Commander? For your choices, for who you are?" Ryan nodded slowly. "Yes. I have led missions where my decisions cost lives. I have wondered if others saw me as too harsh or too soft. I have feared not being enough. But I learned something important. The way others judge me is not what defines me. What matters is what I do and why I do it." Zara's eyes lingered on him, her expression unreadable. She seemed to weigh his words as though testing their strength. "You speak of purpose as though it guides you more than fear." "It does," Ryan said. "Fear will always be there, but purpose gives me direction. Without it, fear would control me. With it, I can move forward." The Queen was quiet again. She raised her hand and gestured to the moons above. "When I was younger, I would sit beneath these skies and wonder why I was different. I asked the stars if there was a reason for my existence. They never answered. Perhaps tonight, I have found a part of the answer." Ryan tilted his head. "And what is that answer?" "That perhaps being different is not weakness," Zara said softly. "Perhaps it is strength. Perhaps it allows me to see what others cannot. Including you, Commander." Her words carried a warmth that surprised him. For the first time, he saw not just the queen but the person beneath the crown. She was not only a leader but someone who longed to be understood. Ryan smiled gently. Then you are already stronger than you realize. Because to admit doubt and still lead takes more courage than to wear a crown without question. Zara's lips curved into a faint smile. You speak like a teacher, yet you are the one who came to learn. Learning and teaching are not so different, Ryan said. Each helps the other grow. The queen let out a quiet laugh, soft and genuine. It was the first time he had heard such a sound from her. She looked lighter, as though the weight she carried had eased slightly. They stood in silence for a while, watching the moons cross the sky. The stars shimmered like diamonds, and the world of Zilura glowed with life. At last, Zara spoke again. Tomorrow, you will see more of our land. Beyond the gardens lies a region few outsiders have entered. It is beautiful but dangerous. It will test not only your strength but also your heart. Ryan inclined his head. I am ready for whatever comes, Your Majesty. She studied him for a long moment. You call me Majesty, yet you treat me as more than a ruler. You speak to me as if I were simply Zara. Ryan met her gaze without hesitation. Because sometimes, being seen as simply who you are is worth more than any title. Zara's eyes softened. Perhaps you understand me more than I expected. The night deepened, and the air grew cooler. Zara finally stepped back. Rest now, Commander. Tomorrow will demand your strength. But remember this, you are the first human to hear these words from me. Do not take them lightly. Ryan bowed slightly, though his voice was steady. I will not. Thank you for trusting me. As she left the balcony, Ryan remained standing beneath the twin moons. His thoughts were filled not only with the mission but also with the Queen herself. He realized that the path ahead was no longer just about peace between two worlds. It was also about understanding a soul who had been hidden behind duty and doubt. The following day began with a sky painted in soft orange light. The twin suns of Zilura rose slowly, their warmth spreading across the floating gardens and crystalline towers of the palace. Commander Ryan stood in the courtyard, preparing for another journey with Queen Zara. He had expected the day to be like the others, filled with tests of patience and understanding. But fate had other plans. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a strange vibration in the air. The crystals embedded in the palace walls began to hum, their glow flickering erratically. Ryan frowned. Is this normal, Your Majesty? Zara's expression darkened. No. The crystals are warning us. Something approaches. A guard hurried into the courtyard, his silver armor glowing faintly. My queen, the Outlands are stirring. A faction of rebels has broken through the southern barrier. They are heading toward the capital. Ryan straightened at once. Rebels? Zara nodded grimly. They are my own people who refuse peace. They wish to overthrow me and rule by force. For years they have waited in the shadows. Now they see an opportunity. The hum of the crystals grew louder, and in the distance, smoke rose above the treetops. The once peaceful horizon was disturbed by dark shapes moving swiftly toward the city. Ryan's training as a commander took over. How many soldiers guard the palace? Enough to defend, Zara replied, though her voice carried a hint of doubt. But the rebels are cunning, and they know our weaknesses. If they break into the capital, the people will panic. Ryan glanced at her. Then we cannot let that happen. Show me how I can help. Zara studied him for a moment. Her eyes searched his face as if weighing his resolve. Finally, she nodded. Very well. Come with me. They ascended the crystal stairs to the palace's highest tower. From there, Ryan could see the rebel forces advancing. They moved like shadows, their armor darker than the shining guards of the queen. Strange weapons glimmered in their hands, powered by stolen crystal energy. Zara raised her hand, and a glowing map appeared in the air. They are heading for the main gate. If they reach it, the city will be vulnerable. We must stop them here, at the outer walls. Ryan studied the map quickly. Your guards are skilled, but they lack formation. If we use human tactics with your defenses, we can slow their advance and push them back. Zara arched a brow. You believe your way will work against my own people. I believe strategy can overcome numbers, Ryan said calmly. Let me lead the defense with your permission. Zara hesitated only a moment before nodding. Very well, Commander. But do not forget these rebels are ruthless. They will not hesitate to harm you. Ryan smiled faintly. Neither will I hesitate to protect. They moved quickly to the outer wall, where guards were already forming ranks. The rebels grew closer, their battle cries echoing through the air. Ryan raised his voice, speaking with authority. Hold your ground. Do not break formation. Trust in each other, and we will hold this line. The guards listened, their eyes sharpening with determination. Zara watched from above, her heart conflicted. She had fought battles before, but never alongside a human who spoke with such calm strength. The first clash came swiftly. The rebels charged, their weapons striking with bursts of crystal energy. The guards wavered for a moment, but Ryan shouted clear commands. Left flank, close the gap. Right flank, push forward. Step by step, the rebels were slowed. The guards fought with renewed courage, their movements guided by Ryan's strategy. He used the terrain to their advantage, directing them to higher ground and forcing the rebels into narrow passages. Zara joined the fight, her presence like a beacon. She raised her hands, summoning streams of light that shielded her soldiers and struck down the enemy. The rebels faltered under her power, yet they pressed forward with relentless determination. In the midst of battle, Ryan fought alongside the guards. His weapon, though less advanced than theirs, struck true with precision. He moved with discipline, protecting those around him. At one point, a rebel blade nearly struck a young guard, but Ryan intercepted the blow and pushed the enemy back. Zara's eyes widened as she saw him risk himself without hesitation. She had expected bravery, but not such selflessness. For a moment, she forgot the chaos around her, her gaze fixed on the human who fought as though her people were his own. The battle raged on, but under Ryan's leadership, the defenders slowly gained the upper hand. The rebels began to retreat, their formation breaking. Smoke and dust filled the air as they fled back toward the forests. When silence finally fell, the courtyard was littered with broken weapons and weary soldiers. The guards cheered weakly, relief spreading among them. Ryan lowered his weapon, breathing heavily but still standing strong. Zara descended from her vantage point, her eyes meeting his. You have done more than I expected, Commander. Without your guidance, we might have fallen today. Ryan shook his head. Your people fought bravely. I only gave them direction. The strength was already theirs. The Queen's gaze softened, but her voice remained steady. Still, you risked your life for them. You could have stayed back, yet you stood on the front lines. Why? Ryan met her eyes without hesitation. Because their lives matter. And because I gave my word to protect. For a long moment, Zara said nothing. Then she whispered, almost to herself, perhaps beauty lies not in form, but in the courage to act. The words hung in the air, unspoken yet understood. The guards began repairing the defenses, and the city slowly calmed. Ryan walked beside Zara back into the palace. Though the danger had passed for now, both knew it was not the end. The rebels would return, and the next battle might be even greater. But for Zara, something had changed. She had seen the human fight with honor, not for glory, but for her people. His actions had spoken louder than any words. As they reached the quiet halls of the palace, Zara turned to him. "Commander, you have earned not only my respect, but the respect of my people. They will remember this day." Ryan gave a faint smile. "Then we have taken the first step toward peace." Zara studied him, her thoughts heavy yet clear. She no longer saw him as just a visitor or an outsider. She saw him as something more, an ally, a protector, perhaps even a friend. The palace was quiet after the battle. The glow of the crystal walls had dimmed slightly, as if reflecting the exhaustion of the people. Guards moved carefully through the corridors, checking for damages and securing the gates. Though the rebels had been pushed back, tension still lingered in the air. Everyone knew the fight was not over. Commander Ryan walked beside Queen Zara through the main hall. The sounds of rebuilding echoed around them. Workers repaired shattered crystal panels, while healers tended to the injured in quiet corners. The Queen's face was calm, but her eyes showed the weight she carried. "You led well today," Zara said at last. "My guards trust you now." "That is no small thing." Ryan gave a respectful nod. "They fought with courage. All I did was guide their strength." Zara studied him closely. "You do not take pride in victory." "I take pride in lives saved," Ryan replied simply. "The battle is never the goal. Peace is the goal." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Zara said quietly, "Peace is fragile here. The rebels will strike again. They will not stop until either they succeed, or I fall." Ryan turned to her. "Then I will stand with you when that time comes." Her eyes lingered on his, as though searching for doubt. But his expression was steady, his voice firm. She nodded slowly, a faint warmth flickering across her face. That night, as the moons rose over Zilara, the palace was shaken by another attack. This time, the rebels struck with greater force. Explosions of crystal energy shattered parts of the outer walls, and shouts filled the air. Ryan sprang into action, rushing through the corridors with the guards. He reached the grand hall just as part of the ceiling collapsed. Dust and shards of crystal rained down. Through the haze, he saw Queen Zara standing near the throne platform, her guards scattered by the sudden blast. Before she could move, a massive piece of debris broke loose and fell toward her. "Zara!" Ryan shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Without hesitation, he sprinted across the hall. The ground shook beneath his boots, and sharp fragments cut across his arms as he pushed forward. He reached her just as the debris crashed down. With a surge of strength, he threw his shoulder against it, forcing it aside enough to pull her free. The weight drove him to one knee, but he refused to let go. He dragged Zara out of the danger, shielding her with his body until the dust settled. When the shaking stopped, he released a breath he had not realized he was holding. Zara looked at him in shock. Her silver robes were covered in dust, her violet eyes wide. "You risked yourself," she whispered. "You are alive," Ryan said, his tone steady despite the cut across his forehead. "That is what matters." Before Zara could respond, another explosion echoed from outside. The rebels had breached the gates. Ryan helped her to her feet. "We need to move. The throne room is no longer safe." Zara regained her composure quickly. She straightened, her voice regaining its strength. "There is a hidden passage behind the throne. It leads to the inner chambers. From there, we can regroup." Ryan guided her through the dust-filled hall until they reached the concealed doorway. They descended into a tunnel lit by glowing crystals embedded in the walls. The sound of battle above echoed faintly through the stone. As they walked, Zara glanced at him. "You saved me without thought for yourself." "Why?" Ryan looked at her, his expression calm. "Because your life means more than mine right now. Your people need you. Without you, peace will be lost. That is reason enough." Her steps slowed. She turned to face him fully, her voice quieter. "Do you always see yourself as less important than others?" Ryan shook his head. "Not less important. Simply part of something greater. My life has value, but so does yours, and so do the lives of everyone we protect. I choose where to place my strength. Today, I chose you." For a moment, she said nothing. Then, with a softness he had not seen before, she whispered, "Perhaps you are braver than even I imagined." They reached the inner chambers, where a small group of guards had gathered. Relief crossed their faces when they saw the queen alive. Ryan immediately began giving instructions, directing the defense with precision. Zara watched as he moved among her people, steadying them with clear words and calm authority. Hours passed before the battle above subsided. The rebels, unable to penetrate the final defenses, retreated into the forests once more. When the palace was secure, Ryan finally allowed himself to rest. He sat on a stone bench, breathing heavily, his uniform torn and stained. Zara approached quietly. She stood before him, her posture still regal, but her voice carried warmth. "You have done more than defend my throne. You have defended me. I owe you my life." Ryan shook his head. "You owe me nothing, Your Majesty. Protecting life is not a debt. It is a choice." Her eyes searched his, filled with something unspoken. "Do you not see what you have done? You are not just a commander. You are becoming a part of this world. My people see it. I see it." He met her gaze. "Then I am honored. But I did not come here for glory. I came to build peace. Saving you was part of that." Zara's lips curved into a small smile, one that held both gratitude and something deeper. "You may not seek glory, but you have earned respect. And perhaps more than that." The silence between them was gentle this time, not heavy. For the first time, Zara felt truly safe, not because of walls or guards, but because of the human who had stood between her and death. Later that night, as the palace settled once more, Zara returned to her private chamber. She looked at her reflection in the crystal mirror. For years, she had seen herself as strange, as different, as unworthy of the praise given to her. But tonight, when she remembered Ryan's steady eyes and fearless actions, she felt something shift. For the first time, she wondered if beauty was not about appearance, but about being seen, truly seen, by someone who valued her beyond the crown. And in that quiet moment, she whispered to herself, "Perhaps I am not as ugly as I believed." Far away in his chamber, Ryan sat beneath the silver glow of the moons, his thoughts heavy with the day's events. He had come to Zilura as a diplomat, but now he was something more. He was bound not only by duty, but by trust, and perhaps by something that went beyond words. The war with the rebels was not over. Danger still loomed. But for the first time, Ryan felt that the bond between him and the Queen was strong enough to face whatever was coming. The palace was quiet once again. The smoke from the battle had cleared, and the workers had already begun to repair the broken walls. The people of Zilura moved with renewed purpose, their voices carrying hope instead of fear. They whispered about the bravery of their queen and the strange human commander who had fought beside her. Queen Zara walked slowly through the restored gardens. The floating flowers glowed softly under the twin moons, and the sound of the crystal fountains was gentle and calming. Yet her heart was restless. She could still feel the weight of the falling debris, the dust, and the strong arms of the man who had pulled her to safety. Her guards followed her at a distance, giving her space. Zara's thoughts returned again and again to Ryan's calm voice and his steady eyes. He had spoken of peace, of lives saved, of choices made with courage. For the first time, she wondered if she had misunderstood herself all these years. She stopped near the largest fountain, its waters shining with a silver glow. Her reflection rippled in the water. She saw the tall frame, the unusual markings on her skin, the sharp lines of her face that had often been called strange. She had always believed those features made her unworthy of admiration. Yet Ryan had never looked away. He had never shown fear or judgment. Instead, he had smiled. As she stood there, lost in thought, she heard footsteps behind her. She did not need to turn to know who it was. Could not sleep either. Ryan's voice came gently. Zara faced him. He looked tired, his uniform still torn from the battle, but his presence carried the same calm strength as always. I could not, she admitted. Too many thoughts. Ryan stepped closer, stopping beside her at the fountain. It was a hard night. Your people are strong, but battles like this leave scars. They will recover, Zara said. They are resilient. But I wonder if I will recover as easily. He looked at her, curious. You survived. You led your people. You stood tall even when danger surrounded you. That is strength. Her voice softened. Strength, perhaps. But not beauty. Do you not see, Ryan? I am not like your people. My face, my skin, my form. To me, they are heavy marks. I have been called queen, ruler, protector. But never beautiful. And when I hear the word, I cannot believe it belongs to me. For a long moment, Ryan was silent. His eyes did not leave hers. Then he smiled the same gentle smile that had calmed her many times before. You are wrong, he said firmly. Beauty is not in the shape of a face or the color of skin. Beauty is in what you carry inside. I have seen your courage. I have seen your honesty. I have seen how you care for your people, even when you believe yourself unworthy. That is beauty. Zara's eyes widened slightly. You mean to say that my courage is beauty? Yes, Ryan replied. Your courage, your heart, your truth. When you face fear and still choose to protect others, that is beauty greater than any mirror can show. That is why I smile when I look at you. Because I see more than you allow yourself to believe. The words struck her deeply. She lowered her gaze to the fountain, watching the ripples as her reflection shifted. His words sounded simple, yet they carried a weight she could not ignore. No one has spoken to me like this, she whispered. Not my council, not my guards, not even my people. They see me as their ruler, never as a being with doubts. But you speak to me as though I am more than a crown. Ryan's voice was steady. Because you are. You are Zara, not only Queen Zara. And that is enough. Her chest tightened with emotion she could not name. She turned back to him, her violet eyes shining under the moonlight. Do you truly believe this? That I am not ugly as I have always thought? Ryan nodded. I believe it with all my heart. You are not ugly. You are one of the most beautiful beings I have ever met, not for how you appear, but for who you are. If you could see yourself as I do, you would never doubt again. Zara stood in silence, his words echoing within her. For years, she had hidden behind strength, behind her title, behind duty. But tonight, standing before this human who spoke with such sincerity, she felt something break open inside her. A new light entered her heart, one she had never allowed before. She lifted her hand and touched the surface of the fountain. The ripples moved across her reflection, blurring the sharp lines she had hated. For the first time, she looked beyond them. I do not know what to say, she admitted softly. You do not need to say anything, Ryan replied. Just believe, even for a moment, that you are more than what you fear. That is enough. Her lips curved into a faint smile. You make it sound simple. Sometimes the truth is simple, Ryan said with a small laugh. We are the ones who make it difficult. Zara laughed too, a soft sound that surprised even her. It was rare for her to laugh freely, yet in that moment it felt natural. The garden seemed brighter, the air lighter. They walked together along the fountain path. The flowers glowed softly around them, and the quiet night carried no fear, only calm. Zara found herself speaking more openly than ever before, telling Ryan about her childhood, her rise to the throne, and the long years she had spent doubting herself. Ryan listened with patience, never interrupting, only nodding and smiling. When she finished, she asked, And you, Ryan? Do you never doubt yourself? Of course I do, he admitted. Every person has doubts. But I choose not to let them rule me. I measure myself by my choices, not by my fears. Zara thought about his words. Perhaps she could do the same. Perhaps beauty was not about how others judged her face, but about how she chose to see herself. As the night grew deeper, they returned to the palace steps. Zara paused at the entrance, turning to him one last time. Ryan, she said softly. Thank you. Not only for saving me, but for giving me a new way to see myself. He bowed his head slightly. It is an honor, Your Majesty. Her voice was gentle as she replied, Tonight, I do not wish to be called Majesty. Tonight, I wish to be simply Zara. Ryan smiled, and for the first time, she smiled back without hesitation. That night, as she lay in her chamber, Zara felt lighter than ever before. The words of the human commander stayed with her, weaving through her thoughts like threads of light. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to believe that she was not ugly. She was strong, she was honest, and she was enough. The days after the attack passed quietly. The palace walls were repaired with crystal stones that shone even brighter than before, as if the planet itself wanted to heal the scars of battle. The people of Zilura worked together with renewed strength, encouraged by the courage of their queen and the human who had stood beside her. Commander Ryan moved among the workers and guards, offering help where he could. He was no longer seen as an outsider. Children greeted him in the courtyards, elders offered him food, and soldiers treated him as a trusted ally wherever he walked. Whispers followed, not of suspicion but of respect. Zara watched this transformation from the high balcony of the palace. Her violet eyes followed Ryan as he bent to help lift a heavy stone or spoke calmly with the builders. She saw how naturally he blended with her people, not by changing who he was but by giving his strength to their cause. That evening, Zara invited him to walk with her through the rebuilt gardens. The air was cool, and the glow of the twin moons painted the flowers in silver light. The fountains had been restored, their soft music filling the silence. "You have become a part of my world," Zara said as they walked side by side. "My people trust you. Even I trust you more than I ever expected." Ryan smiled faintly. "Trust is not built with words. It is built with choices. I only did what I believed was right." Zara looked at him carefully. "You speak as though it is simple, yet few would risk their lives so freely for another. You did not hesitate to shield me. You did not hesitate to stand with us. Why?" Ryan paused, then answered with quiet honesty. "Because peace matters more than my own safety. And because when I look at you, I see someone worth protecting. Not only a queen, but a person who carries the weight of her people with courage. That is rare." Her heart stirred at his words. She had heard endless praises of her crown, her leadership, her strength. But this was different. Ryan saw her not as a distant figure but as herself. It was something she had longed for without realizing it. They stopped near the great fountain, where the water shimmered like silver glass. Zara looked at her reflection once again. For years, she had seen only flaws. But tonight, the reflection seemed different. She remembered his words, how he had spoken of courage and honesty as beauty. And now, standing beside him, she began to see herself through his eyes. "Ryan," she said softly, "when you first smiled at me, I did not understand. I thought you mocked me, or pitied me. But now I see that you meant it." He turned to her, his expression calm and true. "I did. And I still do. You are more than you believe yourself to be, Zara." Her lips curved into a gentle smile. "Then perhaps, for the first time, I will believe it too." The sound of laughter reached them from the distant courtyards. Families were celebrating the victory over the rebels, and music carried on the wind. Zara listened for a moment, then said, "They are not celebrating me alone. They are celebrating us. You and I together. Our bond has given them hope." Ryan nodded. "Hope is stronger when shared. Alone, a leader can only carry so much. Together, you and your people can build a future." Zara studied him closely. "And what of you? Will you return to your world, leaving us when peace is secure?" The question hung in the air. Ryan looked out over the glowing gardens before answering. "I came here as a commander. But I have found more than duty. I have found trust, respect, and something I did not expect." Zara's voice softened. "And what is that?" He met her eyes. "I have found a place where I belong. If your world will accept me, I will stay." Her heart lifted at his words. She had feared he would leave, that the bond they had built would fade with distance. But now, hope bloomed within her. "Then stay," she said quietly. "Stay, and walk beside me. Not as my guard, not as my servant, but as my friend, perhaps more." For the first time, she allowed herself to speak the truth her heart had been whispering. The air between them grew warm, filled with unspoken meaning. Ryan smiled, a smile full of peace and certainty. "Then I will stay." They continued their walk in silence, but it was a silence filled with comfort, not distance. The moonlight followed them, and the flowers seemed to bow gently as they passed. In the days that followed, Ryan stood not behind Zara but beside her. Together, they addressed the people, promising a future of unity between humans and Zellerans. His words were simple but powerful, while her voice carried the strength of a queen who no longer doubted herself. The rebels still lingered beyond the forests, but their power weakened as the bond between Zara and her people grew stronger. Rumors spread that the human commander and the alien queen were building more than an alliance, that they shared a connection deeper than titles or crowns. In her private moments, Zara would often remember her old doubts, the days when she had looked at her reflection and seen only flaws. But now, when she stood before the mirror, she saw courage, kindness, and a new light in her eyes. She saw the beauty that Ryan had always seen. One evening, as they stood on the palace balcony, the people below released floating lanterns into the sky. The glowing lights rose higher and higher, filling the night with stars of their own making. Zara watched in awe, then turned to Ryan. "This is our future," she said softly. "Not built on fear, but on hope. And you have given me the strength to see it." Ryan looked at the lanterns, then at her. "You already had the strength. All I did was remind you of it." Her smile grew, warm and certain. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. Not because she was queen, but because she was Zara, seen and accepted as she truly was. The lanterns drifted higher, carrying wishes into the endless sky. Among them was the unspoken promise between a human and a queen. A promise of trust, of respect, and of a bond that no battle could break. And as the night embraced them, Zara whispered the words she had once thought impossible. "I am not ugly. I am not broken. I am beautiful, and I believe it now." Ryan's smile was the only answer she needed. Together, they watched the sky, two worlds united not by power, but by the simple truth of seeing one another fully and without fear.